Alright, behind the scenes time, let's go. I started out making a CAD drawing of the whole thing. And and then underneath you have the cache drawer and all of that fun stuff. And you also have the scanner here. It's got a little place to put the RFID module up front and an RJ45 connector in the back, and also a acrylic cover to cover up the RFID module. There you go. So after I printed all of that, it was time to start with all of the sanding, and that's where the fun really starts, because who doesn't love doing a monotonous task forever? No, but it sucks. It's super boring, and it's very time consuming and repetitive and boring. But I started out, I wanted to go from a kind of a low grade sandpaper and work my way up a little bit, and then use a primer filler and then sand that down and see where I needed to make stuff smoother, and then go with another coat and then maybe wet sand it. But I didn't end up doing that because I didn't really plan out my time. I didn't do any time management. So I didn't have time. I forgot that paint needs to dry. I was like, oh, it's going to take 2 seconds to spray paint it. And then I forgot about the 6 to 8 hours you have to wait for it to dry. So that didn't really work out. But anyways, so I'm just sanding away here, having a great old time. I think the sanding took like 6 or 7 years. I grew a great big beard while sanding. So that was fun. And I put a little bag under the sandpaper as I wouldn't scuff up my table. And I am wearing clothes. I mean, you can only see my arms, but I had a t-shirt on, and that's why. It's not like I was sitting and doing this in my underwear. That would be super weird. Yeah, so I was sanding away, having a great time sanding. So after that, I soldered some tactile switches to a circuit board for the keypad. And then this is me trying to put Molex connector things onto a cable with just normal pliers, because I didn't have a Molex crimper, and it took quite a bit of time. I thought it was gonna be pretty quick, but I just squeezed them on there, but nope, that was very finicky. But I wanted to be able to remove the modules, like the LCD panel and the RFID module, without having to desolder them all the time, because I was still prototyping on the Arduino 2009 on a breadboard, so I didn't want to solder it straight to the thing. So here I'm pre-tinning the RJ45 connector, and this is not my end setup, because I didn't twist the wire. I didn't twist the wires, so I ended up using twisted pairs and made sure that they stayed twisted inside of the Cat6 cable as well, because this didn't work at all. So don't do it like this. Don't be a Dumbo like me. Do it properly. So here I'm soldering the. You can see my little soldering fan. I'm soldering underneath my kitchen fan, by the way, and I have a computer fan to kind of blow it out of my face. And it's a lot harder to do pretty much everything when you have a tripod between your legs, and it takes a lot more time. So I didn't really want to spend too much time on beautiful lighting and camera angles, because I just wanted to get it done, pretty much. So yeah, all of this had to be redone. As you can see, none of the wires are twisted. And here I'm doing some other fun soldering tasks that I probably had to redo as well. So I got really frustrated when it didn't work, and I had to go on a forum, Elektronikforum, I think this is a Swedish forum, ask for help, and they helped me out, so thanks for helping me out. And then I didn't want to film it when I redid it, because I was running out of time, and I just want to get stuff done, pretty much. So overall, I think I worked on this for 2 months, and I had it in my brain for like 6 months. So when it came time to actually make it, I just wanted to get it done in time, and I barely did. So this is from the RJ45 connector into the Teensy. So I started out with the Teensy LC, and it turns out that it's not compatible with RFID modules, so I had to buy a Teensy++ 2.0 that would work for me. So I had to redo all the soldering on the actual microcontroller as well. So that was fun. But yeah, I'm just going to town here on the cables, and as you can tell, this is how I like to do stuff. I just solder it on there, get some heat shrink on there, and then I cut it off instantly and desolder it because it was the wrong wire, and then I do the correct one. So that's how I like to do stuff. I wouldn't recommend it, but you know, we all have our own process when we make our little things. And yeah, as you can see, this is also not twisted. I didn't twist the stuff from the LCD. Here's me making a ground rail. I should really have done like planned out a proper circuit board for this, because now I'm just kind of I'm putting out the fires and I'm kind of lighting them at the same speed. So I should have planned it out and made a proper circuit board for everything, because I ended up having to make two voltage regulators as well, because the Teensy++ 2.0 does not have a 3.3 out, so I had to make one from 9 volts to 5, and then one from 5 to 3.3. So I'm trying to put some multi-purpose spackle on the thing to hide the finger joints, and as you can see, I'm not really doing a great job because I had a hard time making it work. It wouldn't really stick to the acrylic, even though I scuffed it with some sandpapers. I actually sanded a bunch of the acrylic as well, but I didn't film it. So I didn't use in the end the spackle, and this is just cutting the circuit board for the keypad. You don't have to use a Dremel, you can use like a box cutter or something. And so I'm trying to glue the scanner together, and the hot glue dried before I got to make it, so I had to do it again. I just had a little slit, and then I squeezed it into the slit, and then I pushed it together. And of course I glued the holes shut, so I had to drill I had to drill out the holes, you know, like a professional would do. So after this I got like some sort of a putty that it's a 2-component epoxy type thing that you just mush together, and you can fill in the gaps and the holes, and then you can sand it down, because you know, who doesn't want to do some more sanding. And this, you can use this without gloves. I actually read the back of the box when I got it. Well, that's a lie, I read it after I finished, just to make sure that I wouldn't lose my fingers. So read it beforehand, you know, that's always smarter. So you don't have to use gloves with this one. And it was kind of, it smelled like an orchestra of 1,000 farts, but it worked pretty good. And my fingers smelled disgusting for quite a while, like a day or so. And this is another way you can do it. You can just use an X-Acto knife and then some pliers and snap it off. This would be the 5-volt regulator, so I'm using a 9-volt battery. I didn't really think of how I would power it when I made it, so I was like, oh, I need some power in this thing, and then I thought I can use a 9-volt battery, so I need to get it down to 5 volts, so it would work with my Teensy. And also I had to cut a hole in the back plate of the acrylic to make the battery holder. So now it's all painted, I'm gluing it all up, having a great time gluing it. This is actually on Christmas Eve. I was gonna give it on Christmas Day, so I'm running really short on time. So I came home from celebrating Christmas, and I had some, you know, a couple of beers and maybe some whiskey and stuff. So I was very confident when I did this. I wasn't drunk, but you know. And this is the rat's nest. I don't even want to look at it. It's kind of embarrassing, but that's why I go off camera so much. But yeah, no, I wouldn't say I was drunk, you know. I was just very relaxed. It wasn't like I made a big fool of myself and glued my fingers or anything. And I had to drill a hole into the acrylic, which is kind of nerve-wracking because acrylics love to shatter. So you have to be super careful when doing that. So I'm just gluing here like a professional, having a great, yeah. so I lied. I did glue my fingers. But as you can tell, I'm a professional. I've glued my fingers a bunch of times before, because your first instinct is to remove the glue with your other hand, but then you just glue your other hand as well. You burn more fingers. So you have to wait it out. And here it is. That's the finished thing. It's not great looking, but it's pretty, it's okay. It's nice. I don't like the finger joints, but you know, and it's kind of not smooth. But yeah, thanks.